With the NBA offseason right around the corner and the finals wrapping up, the Utah Jazz are in a very, very awkward position, at least compared to many other teams in the NBA. And as we all know, has to do with their two-star players, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Now, the Jazz have had a lot of struggles over probably since the year 2000. Darren Williams comes in. He becomes a great point guard, but internal conflict with the coach, with some of the players, leads to him leaving earlier than expected, and the Jazz kind of go into a lacking time or a worse period than they were in already. And that really didn't end until recently with the acquisition of Donovan Mitchell in the draft there at the 13th pick or 12th pick, whichever one he was. But as we all know, before that they had Gordon Hayward. Mike Conley comes in after Gordon Hayward leaves. You know, they've just been basically like an endless cycle of players coming and going after not agreeing with the management or stuff like that. And it's continuing now. Donovan Mitchell has already come out and said he's unhappy in Utah. It's looking like he's going to be traded anymore. Rudy Gobert has come out and not said much, but from what he said, you can almost kind of assume that he is unhappy as well, whether that means with Donovan Mitchell or with the Jazz in general. And how they approach this could make or break their next few years as an NBA team. As we all know, the Jazz have basically had duds in the playoffs the last few years. Now, last year, they get the number one seed in the Western Conference, if I could speak. They go into the playoffs, they lose. This year, they don't do as well. Nobody really expected them to win the finals this year, but at least win a series. Don't even make it out of the first round against an injured and handicapped Mavericks team that didn't have Doncic for a game and that had Dinwiddie playing terrible all series long. That is a big letdown right there for the Jazz and for Jazz fans overall. Before that, they didn't have much success either. They bring in guys like Mike Conley, Royce O'Neal, Bogdanovich, and it doesn't fix their system. They traded Joe Ingles, a hometown hero there, a guy that they loved in Utah, Jingle and Joe, and that really marked the end of an era in my opinion. And that's why I'm here to discuss this today, because I think the Jazz have a very delicate situation here. How they approach this could make or break their franchise or their dynasty as a whole and their chances to be in contention the next few years. Now, as we all know, Donovan Mitchell is most likely going to be the one to get traded for sure. He's come out multiple times, said he's unhappy with Rudy Gobert. No matter who they trade Rudy Gobert for, chances are they're not going to be happy, or Donovan Mitchell is not going to be happy with it. So it looks like they're going to be trading Donovan Mitchell. Now, my second question or second comment is, does that mean Rudy Gobert's safe? Definitely not. It looks like maybe there's a chance both of them get traded, and you have to think that's the best idea for the Jazz, and that's why I want to look at a few teams or think about a few trades that the Jazz could make that would be better for them as far as not keeping both players and not just kind of being on the edge of contention like they have been, or getting into a rebuild and trying to revamp quickly and be in contention that way. Now, if you think about it, Donovan Mitchell has had a few targets or a few teams that are interested in him. We have seen the Miami Heat come out and say they want to trade for him, and talks have been made across the board for trading for Donovan Mitchell. Who that means they'll trade, we don't exactly know. Tyler Hero is always the number one answer because he's a young prospect. He can score. He can play defense to an extent, and he could replace Donovan Mitchell fairly easily in that offense. And that's why I think Tyler Hero would be a good piece. And that obviously that's not enough, though. You'd have to imagine it's going to be like a package of Tyler Hero, maybe Gabe Vincent, another guard there, and maybe like a first-round pick this year, because the Jazz don't have a pick, something that you need if you're rebuilding. And that would be enough, in my opinion, to keep you in contention as far as the play-in or the 8th or 9th seed, 8th or 10th, 7th seed right there. So that is a good trade if that's what you're looking for. Now, there's also the New York Knicks trade. Donovan Mitchell is from New York. He's from that area. A hometown player is always going to be welcome in an area like New York. So, who do you trade for if you're New York, or who do you trade if you're New York? It depends on how you look at it. You almost have to look at it like the Jazz are forced to trade Donovan Mitchell in some situations, so you may be able to get a little bit of a better deal. I have seen some trades circulating around where they maybe include like a Kemba Walker or a Derrick Rose and Evan Fournier, and then like 3 or 4 picks, and that's enough. Which, if you're the Jazz, really just depends on how you're playing. If you want to compete, then maybe the picks aren't worth it as much. Maybe you want to get another guy. Maybe you want to bring in Julius Randle, think he can play well next to Rudy Gobert. Maybe you want to bring in like Cam Reddish, a young player like that has room to grow and improve. Or if you're going to rebuild, you want to take on all the picks. So that's why I think New York, depending on how the situation works, if you want to contend, Miami's probably the better option. If you want to rebuild, maybe you go with New York just because of the amount of picks they can offer you. But then this also all settles on where Rudy Gobert is going to go, because we don't know much about this situation yet. You know, Donovan Mitchell has been a little bit more clear, and the Jazz have been a little bit more clear with the Donovan Mitchell situation, in my opinion. So that's why we know a little bit more about that situation, or that side of the situation. Rudy Gobert, we really don't know much. We don't even know if he's unhappy completely. It's all just rumors and assumptions, which in a way it is with the other side, but it's a little bit more concrete with the Donovan Mitchell side of things. So that's why we have to be a little bit more vague with the Rudy Gobert side of things, because there have been a lot of teams interested in him, and he's a guy that fits the mold for pretty much every team in the NBA if you have a piece to trade for him, which the main ones I would say are interesting is maybe you go with the Suns. Maybe they're interested in sign and trade Rudy Gobert for DeAndre Ayton, because Ayton looks like he's going to leave in the offseason or want to get out of Phoenix, considering they don't want to give him max money. That's a possibility there. On top of that, you have the Hawks. A guy like Clint Capella could relatively replace Gobert's production on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, rebounding and blocking is not as strong, but it's still a very good part of his game, so it wouldn't be too much of a loss if you get Capella. I've seen the Nets. The Nets are a team that desperately need a dominant center or to play beside Kyrie and Kevin Durant, so that's why they would want to trade for him. Or maybe you could get a Ben Simmons and Nicholas Claxton in return for Rudy Gobert. Maybe that keeps Donovan Mitchell happy. I don't know exactly what they're planning on doing. That is the reason this is also interesting, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments below, just because it could go either way. Like we said, or like I said at the beginning of the video, just it really depends on how the Jazz are feeling. If they want to trade both of them, that's the best case scenario in my opinion, if you want to trade both of them. If you don't and you have to trade one, honestly, Rudy Gobert would be the better option, because he is not producing anything on the offensive side of the ball. And Donovan Mitchell has embraced Utah, and that's why I think they should keep him. But it looks like he's going to be gone no matter what happens. So now the real question is, what do they do with Rudy Gobert? And that's something we'll have to wait and see in this offseason or going into the next season. Go ahead and comment down below and let me know who you guys think they should trade them for, or if they should keep both of them. Try to keep one of them. Which one you guys feeling they should keep? Thank you guys for watching this video. As always, hit the like button and subscribe. Turn post notifications on so you never miss a video if you do enjoy these commentary videos. And make sure to check out my Kansas Jayhawks Dynasty mode. We are now almost towards the midway point of Season 4, and we're having a great year. 6-2 on the year, or 5-2 on the season. Our best start yet. Hopefully we can make a big bowl game and maybe even a conference championship appearance if that's what we're going to be able to do this year. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.